Nobody really prepares you for this part of parenting. I'm not talking about the schedules or the routines. I'm speaking about the weight of it, the mental load, the pressure. Those quiet moments where you're thinking, am I doing this right? Is the way I'm feeling affecting my kids? Because parenting isn't just about raising kids, it's about managing yourself while you're doing it. Welcome back to Overcome with Travis White. This is another solo episode. I had mentioned before that I will be doing a few of these because I want you to get to know me. I want you to have a better understanding of who I am. But this episode is real. This Today we'll be talking about parenting and mental health and the foundation you're building your family on because it starts with you. And I want to share or start with a real moment, share a story with you. So not too long ago, my daughter, who is 6, was playing at a friend's house. She'd been there for a while. While she was gone, everything seemed to be going smoothly. Other kids were listening. There was no fighting, no bickering, just a good attitude around the house. But when she came home, it was like instantly chaotic. She wasn't listening. She was picking fights, causing problems, kind of all the typical behavior of a 6-year-old. But I'll be honest, this time, like I'd seen her act better, and I will admit that I was already overwhelmed. One thing to point out, my wife is pregnant due any day now, so I feel like I'm taking on a bigger load than usual. I don't want to give myself an excuse, but I will say that mentally, I was already stretched really thin. But in this moment, when all that chaos just built up and kept building, I did something. I didn't think before I spoke. I reacted, and I ended up saying some things that hurt my daughter's feelings. And after that moment, it hit me. This isn't just about behavior. This is about what I'm carrying into that moment. And that moment right there, that's what I brought into it. And I want to talk about the behavior part for a minute because I was sitting here talking about my daughter acting or behaving badly. But in this moment, it's not just on her. Your kids recognize when something is off or when you're acting poorly. And if you don't find a way to correct that, they're going to start copying your actions and reactions. It's it's something that so if you can actually pinpoint where you're struggling and change how you react, you're going to see better behavior in your kid as well. And I'm going to be honest. I've always known to some degree that my mental state affects my kids. I myself am a very anxious person. And I'm thinking back to one specific therapy session that I had probably about a year and a half ago. And I was talking to my therapist about parenting and how sometimes it's really frustrating for me and it makes me anxious and it can set me off. And at this time, I hadn't really fully admitted that I had these types of problems. And one thing I learned that it was tied to was expectations. I always expected things to go smoother, expected kids to listen right away with no problems. And if you're a parent, you know that never happens. I expected each moment to be way easier than it actually was. And if things didn't go my way and didn't meet my expectations, is when all this would build up and I'd get frustrated. And this is when my therapist said something that was kind of shifting my perspective and allowing me to take a step back. And he told me that in order to come above this, you need to lower your expectations. And in this moment, I realized that he wasn't just talking about my kids, but he was talking about life in general. You need to meet the moment for what it actually is. Because when I actually sat down and thought about it, I realized there are a couple specific types of situations that actually truly frustrate me to no end. And there's like two consistent things. One of them is bedtime. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only parent that struggles with this. For me, I know it's as soon as I mention the word bed, it's like my kids transform into something that they're not. It's the end of the day. I'm tired. The kids are tired. And we're all exhausted and drained. So in my head, I've always told myself, well, this has to happen in this order. The kids can't talk back. They can't bicker. It needs to be quick. It needs to happen my way, my way. But we all know that's not a reality. And when it doesn't go my way, that's when I get short. The other example is when I'm repeating myself. Those moments where you ask once, nothing, ask again, still nothing, and again, nothing. It just seems like a never ending cycle. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time. Once again, frustration. And those are usually the moments that are the hardest for me as a parent. Like I said, I'm an anxious person. And I can't control these moments. And, and none of us can. But I know that I'm not in this fight alone. All of us are trying to build strong families on unstable ground. We're all exhausted, we're all stressed, and most of us are carrying more or bigger loads than other people can see. The problem we're running into though is we still try to show up perfectly, which we know is not real life. Like you parenting, there's no perfection in parenting, and it doesn't require perfection. To me, parenting is more about awareness. And most of the stress that comes from parenting isn't loud. It kind of sits there back there in the corner, all quiet, and it just keeps building and building. and I've said this before, is I know this isn't just me. I know it's not just you. It's happening to parents everywhere. Let's put this into perspective a little bit. About 1 to 3 parents say that they're dealing with high levels of stress. Nearly half say it feels overwhelming most days. And a lot of parents are dealing with burnout. And also, uh, there are quite a few parents that are reporting that they're so overwhelmed that they can't really function. So if you've ever felt that, felt any of these at all, I'm sorry that you've had to feel this way. Because parenting, man, if we're being honest, it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. And you can't just keep letting it build up. The most important thing to do is recognize that it's there and do something about it. So I want to tell you a few things that have helped me to get through these stressful moments so I can stop myself from having these mini anxiety moments or panic attacks. Uh, I here I have 2 things that I use quite a bit. One of them is creating space for myself. And this isn't necessarily just for parenting. This works anywhere you want to use it. Both these methods will work well in like with parenting or the work place or wherever you want to use it. But the first, excuse me, the first one is creating space. Remove yourself from the situation. If your kids are in your bedroom acting up and you're overwhelmed, before you choose to react, walk into the other room. Take 30 seconds, take some breaths, count whatever works for you. And for some people, maybe this is longer than 30 seconds. For me, it used to be like 2 minutes, but I've got it down a little bit lower than it was before. But this allows you to reset. And after I walk out of the room for 30 seconds, I'm able to walk back in and have a clear mind. The next one, I can usually do in the same room. And most of the time, my kids and nobody will realize that I'm doing this. I might look a little bit around the room a little bit, but it's usually not noticeable. It's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And this only takes a few seconds to do. So you name 5 things that you can see. Look around the room really quick, just glance and name them. And 4 things that you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That's it. I don't know the exact science behind it. Excuse me. I'm gonna take a quick drink of water here. But as soon as I do this, it's like it pulls me out of the situation I'm in, pulls me out of my own head, and allows me to step back into that moment and to actually respond in a better way and be present. It gives me just enough space to clear my head. And that's all you need to do. But I suggest going out there and finding your own techniques to help you out. to help you stay grounded as a parent. I mean, this could be another thing that I've learned about. I haven't really used is journaling. I've heard it's great to do though. But I spoke about earlier about building a foundation and all these things. As long as I stay grounded and can reset myself, I can help build my foundation and my kids' foundation at the same time. When I say foundation, I'm talking about something very specific. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of my faith framework, but foundation is F in my faith framework. And you can think about foundation as your baseline. It's what you're standing on when things get hard. When you're overwhelmed, when your patience is gone, is what you're standing on. Like what I guess it comes when I think about it, when three questions come to mind. What are you standing on? What motivates you? And what uh sorry, I just lost the third question now. Sorry. It's a good thing about a podcast. I can mess up. I'm not live. Nobody. I can just reset myself. So, foundation is what are you standing on? What motivates you? And what are you struggling with? I think it's really important for the first two to kind of figure out what pushes you forward. And the third question comes in more from you need to know what you're struggling with so you know where to fill the holes of your foundation, what you need to work on. But and if you figure this out, it gives you reason to show up better, even those times you don't feel like it. But for me, my foundation is my kids, my family. Because in those moments, when I'm tired and I feel overwhelmed, and I feel that frustration and intensity building, I can either fall back in, well, I have two choices really. I can fall back into old habits, or I can remember what I'm building and who I'm building it for. Because if I'm being honest, my kids aren't just watching me, they're shaping me. They are my reason to slow down and to continue to grow. It's because of them that I want to become better than I was before. So I guess you could say I'm building a foundation for them, but I'm also building mine through them, which I think is important to note. And I'll admit it, like I still mess up. I do all the time. I'm only human, but I always find a way to come back. Going back to the example of my daughter, that night I still found a way to reconnect, and I feel like it's important to point out when you mess up as a parent, it's important to go back, make that connection again, let your kids know, just like I let my daughter know that what I said wasn't right and my behavior was unacceptable and that she didn't deserve it. Because I want my kids to always know that I still care and that I'm human and I still make mistakes, that daddy's not perfect. And I still want her to feel loved, no matter how many mistakes I may make. Now, before you move on from this episode, I want to leave you with two challenges. First, take a moment and think about your foundation. What are you standing on? What motivates you to keep moving forward? And what are you struggling with? Another way to phrase this would be, where is your foundation being tested right now? What can you improve? Because once you understand these questions, you can start building something stronger. For me, my kids and my family are my strongest foundation. They're one of the number one reasons why I keep going. And believe it or not, my dog is a huge part of my foundation. I'd say this podcast, and those of you that listen, I don't know you. I don't know who you are, but I know there are some of you out there, and you're the reason why I keep going. Because I want to help people like you. I want you to feel like you're not alone, and that you can push through this, whether it would be with parenting or something else. The second challenge from tonight is, I want you to sit down and think about your parenting. What are your pain points? What moments set you off the fastest? What does your patience break down? I want you to sit and think about this. Oh, not why. I mean, where does your patience break down? I want you to sit and think about these and write those down. Because you can't change it if you don't face it. If you don't know where you're going wrong in parenting or what your pain points are, you can't recognize those patterns. You can't fully be there for your children. But once you understand those, I really feel like that's where the growth starts. And as human beings, I feel like that's important, is we're always continuing to grow. There's always room for growth. So the next time you feel it building, the frustration or the moment that's, just getting to you, pay attention to what you're carrying into that moment. Because most likely that's what your kids are experiencing. And be honest with yourself. You're not going to get it right every day. No one does. I don't. That's for sure. No parent does. But you can keep building something better. Because I will say that strong families are built on strong foundations. And that's all I had to say today. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with another parent who needs it. And remember, you're not alone in this. We overcome together. And please, also, one other thing, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. a 5-star review, preferably, because that'd be very helpful. Thanks again. Until next time.